that we made it. Can you believe we hit 200 good streams? If I'd been a little bit more diligent, we might have made it sooner, but I've been a little bit lazy with my streams. Thinking about that first stream, I was renting in the tropics, looking out over Westerhall Bay. Typical terrible internet. Occasionally a kite would break the wires and I would have to call it a day. Well, and then I had that resort where I had to rent a spot during the COVID lockdowns because I was trying to build my house. And then next thing I knew, I was out and I streamed from sunny Fort Lauderdale. Hunting for a house, didn't have a house, so I ended up in Alabama, and I streamed from a tiny little room, and now I'm streaming from a tiny little office made from a shed. Hey, that's pretty good. Hey guys, how you doing? See, Alan has the power. Even if Alan is not a member, he has the power to be here because I granted him that power. And so he's a moderator. Isn't that amazing? Alan is like the most specialist guy because like you don't even have to be a member, Alan. Like you could just be here. So anyhow, how you guys doing? Nice to see you all. I said it as members only in the chat today, even though this is everybody is welcome to be in here. I figured I have to do something special for members occasionally other than just give you guys insane emojis. So this is a members only chat. I just did some work and I am so psyched. I'll tell you, when I started planting the gardens here, I really thought this was not going to pan out that great. I said, okay, I'm going to try. But man alive, the first bit of gardening that I did here in this nasty grit was so... I put a few beds in and I was digging out there, and the stuff that I planted, like the germination rate on stuff was kind of so-so, and then the stuff that did germinate was getting cut down, and then there were all these little jumping black bugs that were chewing everything to bits, and I was like, this is not going to be good. This is really bad soil, especially after the beautiful volcanic soil of Grenada. Ouch. So I started out making a few beds, and then I said, you know, I'm going to do some row gardens and spread things out and see if it makes things work a little better to just go wide single rows. Less fertility, erratic rainfall. I'll do some areas like that. Then, you know, they did pretty well. They did better than I expected. I got a good amount of turnips, daikons. You remember last year's harvests? Got a lot of good stuff. Cabbages. And then I got completely into doing the grocery row gardens. I wanted to do grocery row gardens, but I had to get together the perennials and do the stuff that I wanted to do with that. I wanted to prepare the soil better. I wanted to make biochar for them. I wanted to really dig them up nicely, make really good beds from the beginning. all the single rows, now pot your plants up. So I invested a lot of the first part of the year into those grocery row gardens. But when I got to fall again, I said, you know, I'm going to take that patch where I grew so many beautiful pumpkins, and I will till it and plant rows in it. And this time, I am not going to plant the rows where the water will wash them out. I actually planted them on contour this time, so they have this weird slopey shape to them. And I also decided not to plant them flat into the ground, but to actually make mounds, because we go back and forth between having long dry stretches and then having really, really wet stretches. So I figured having a little bit of benefit of raised bed would be cool. So we put those in there, and I planted rows on them. And I also did, you probably saw the rutabaga experiment. I started planting rutabagas. I really wanted to grow some good rutabagas. My germination rate on those things was terrible, and then we went back and planted it again, and the germination rate was terrible again. So now I'm thinking that the rutabaga seed was not particularly good. I got it from a local farm store that I usually have had good luck with their seed, but it's not great. There's probably like 10 decent looking rutabaga plants in a space that is enough for 240 rutabaga plants. I don't even know if I like rutabagas. I don't even know if I like rutabagas, she told me, as I pulled up a root. I don't even know if I like rutabagas, she told me, and I think she was telling the truth. So I planted these rows of rutabagas, and they didn't turn out very well at all. Planted, replanted, lousy, annoying. But at the same time, I went and I planted, like the next week or two afterwards, Rachel and I went and we made, well, I made all the beds. Rachel just helped me plant them, and a couple of the kids helped me plant them. And we just grabbed basically all the brassicas that we could find, including rutabagas, which also did poorly in germinating out there. But we had turnips, daikons, cauliflower, cabbages, broccoli. I think that was it. And some beets. Beets get honorary mention as a brassica. They're not, I don't even think they're brassicas. There's something else. There's some weird thing. They're like Beetaceous cayennensis. So I planted those rows, I don't know, September, maybe beginning of October, and we made these nice little mounds, and I tilled under alfalfa, some alfalfa meal, and then I think I just did pellets out there, alfalfa pellets over the area, tilled them under, and I made these nice little mounds, and then we put, I think I put a little bit of Steve's mix down the center of each one of those, and planted on top of them, and wow, they're looking really, really good. Let me see if I have I think I got a good photo here. You can see the photo in the preview of this stream, but you probably can't look at it right now. You know, so that's kind of weird. Let me see if I can find, I will screen cap one for you from the video that I'm going to post tomorrow. I look so precious standing out there in the garden, just so precious. Let me see, I'm gonna just fill the screen up with like my dopey face of me standing in these gardens. 1 second, I'm working on it. I'm doing science. There, almost got it. Almost got it. What? Yeah, that's not, I don't need to see like that much. Let's see if we can do this. Fit screen. There we go. Okay, see that? Those rows are pretty impressive. Those rows are great. So I gotta like find a picture where it doesn't have me sitting in it, you know, or something, but here we go. Yeah, I'm still sitting in it, but whatever. I I don't want to learn. I've already looked at me enough today. I've been editing videos. Here we go. I'm going to drop this in. You can see this new one. This is groovy. Fit to screen. Check that out. That's what I want to see. These rows are on contour and they are mounded. They are 3 foot apart, centers. The center of each row is 3 foot from the center of the other row. And after filming this video, we are looking at the single row gardens down what used to be the pumpkin patch, Alan. That is... Those have been thinned further since this part. I don't really have to thin the daikons. I mean, this is way so much space for daikons. It's ridiculous. But I had to thin out the cabbages and the broccoli, and I've got to go thin them again. I want them at least 1.5 foot apart in the rows. So because I have poor soil fertility, and I don't want to drag a hose all the way out there, this area, which is just horrid soil, is growing some really nice crops because it's not fighting over the resources that are in the ground. They're not fighting over resources. It's poor soil, but there's enough for them to get by. So you can see I'm standing, behind me is a row of turnips. See how like awesome those turnips look? Very rich. We've been getting greens out of them. I love it. The row in front of me is beets. Beets are always one of those things that like I find that they're kind of pokey and some of them stay small and they're not the most impressive in the world. And then in front of those, it's probably broccoli or cauliflower. And then the row closest to the front is obviously the daikons. They're pushing themselves out here. Pretty cool. I am very happy with the way it is looking and growing. And I'm very happy with the flavor of the produce. I've pulled in some turnip greens and some daikons so far. And they are crisp and sweet. And I've just gone out once or twice with watering cans and fertigated them to keep them going. I'll probably beat him on turnips, yes. But of course I've got a little bit longer. I think I get a week more growing season than he does. I think that's probably the first time my brother has ever planted turnips. He asked me what he could get in before frost, and I said turnips. Pretty awesome. Wow, Alan, that's awesome. Alan says, by the way, my Seminole pumpkins just kept growing, took over my garden, about 20 more almost ripe, and more coming if no frost. I had them do that once, where they started growing again after the summer. They survived the summer bugs and the cutworms and all that stuff. And no, it wasn't cutworms, the vine borers. And they got to fall, and they came back again, and they bore me another round of pumpkins that I harvested in November. Yeah, fertigating. I take a light nutrient solution like worm tea and water, or you could take Dynagro and water, or Peter's plant food or whatever and water. You're basically just giving it some of the minerals that the plant needs and giving them a soil and foliar watering in the evening. That's when I like to do it. You just walk down the rows, pour it, you know, go with your watering cans and water it so it soaks in a little bit, gets to the roots, and it's surprising how little water they actually need to do well. Because part of the problem when things dry out is the plant takes up nutrients through the water that is in the ground, right? So it soaks in the nutrients as it's taking water up from the ground. So if the ground gets dry, it's not pulling up the nutrients, and that's where you end up with things like blossom end rot on watermelons. It's a long period of dry weather, so the plant's not able to pull up the calcium it needs. It's basically just the biological action has slowed down. It's not able to grab what it needs. If you flood the root zone with water that contains nutrients, it's very efficient compared to just throwing dry fertilizer and waiting for the rain, or just watering and not putting any fertilizer on, or just having compost in soil that's dried out. Watering, it puts it right into the root zone, and there's this wash of everything the plant needs along with some water coming past the roots, and it just grabs it up and it gives it this strength. It's like giving it a health tonic. And you could use compost tea, you can use, you know, whatever liquid fertilizer you can get. You could make Dave's Fetid swamp water, and it will make them grow much better. Diluted urine, doesn't matter. And especially when they've had times of drought, moisture stress, etc. Steve Solomon writes about the fertigation method, where he carries buckets around to individual plants. He'll take a 5-gallon bucket and put some mineral solution in it, in water, and just put a hole in the side of the bucket and set the bucket next to a plant and just let it trickle down into the root zone. And, well, it works, but I found that to be a kind of a pain in the neck, so I don't do it very often. I did it on a few plants, definitely noticed a big difference. But I have so many plants. I'm not just a gardener, you know, it's not just like me and my wife and a few friends that we grow for or something. The amount of stuff we have to carry around, I have to come up with easy ways to do stuff. I fertigate for experiments, or for particular plants I really, really want to take off. But it's easy to just take a couple of watering cans and water down in the evening. And there's probably an even easier way to do it. I have used a pump sprayer and gone and foliar fed everything in the evenings too. That works pretty well. But I like being able to drench them. I actually should get some bigger watering cans, like high quality watering cans, and, you know, go carry them down. The problem is that with the watering cans, the rows at the end always get stuff jammed in it when I'm using compost tea and that sort of thing. So it's not that... If you take the rows off, you flood them and you beat them into the ground. If you leave the rows on, it's like spitting out a little bit at a time because half the holes are plugged. So, what is that painting next to the piano? That is a painting that I found. That is a painting that I found in a thrift store. That one over there, and it's supposed to be. It's signed Picasso, but I have no idea if it's a Picasso, and I have no idea if I could find out how you would find out if it's a Picasso. It's an ugly as sin painting, and it says ballerina on it, like written in Spanish, and it's signed Picasso. If it's an actual Picasso, I could retire, but I don't actually know how to figure it out. I got that thing like 20 years ago from a thrift store, and it's just been following me around from place to place just in case it's a Picasso. Isn't that weird? I mean, I should really find out. It's a terrible painting. I hate it. I mean, it's ugly as sin. I don't know. So, the single row gardening thing, definitely for beginner gardening, for gardening where you don't feel like irrigating, for gardening where you're shy on nutrition in the soil, shy on water, or if it's in an awkward location. The first time I did single row gardening, seriously, I had land that I had borrowed from a guy I later found out was a narcissistic sociopath. But that aside, I had borrowed some land and I planted corn on it, and I planted black-eyed peas on it. And I learned that, you know, one of the farmers around, the farmer next door, was growing plants spaced wide, and he came over when I was planting corn 18 inches apart, and he said, 3 foot, 3 foot. I was like, 3 foot? I gave him 3 foot, and sure enough, they grew corn. And that kind of opened my eyes to it a little bit, and it wasn't until later that I discovered Steve Solomon's writing on gardening without irrigation, that sort of thing. But I'd always kind of bought the idea that single row gardening was just a waste of space. It's ridiculous, right? Like, you could put 40 daikons in a raised bed, like square foot garden, or you could put like 8 daikons in the same space in single row gardening. So why in the world would you want to do one of those big single row gardens? It's kind of stupid. Doesn't make any sense. It's dumb. It's like, you gotta be stupid to do a single row garden, wasting all that soil. Why wouldn't you just put it in a square foot garden? Mel Bartholomew would just smile, smile and smile. Yeah, so I thought it was just kind of dumb. I mean, and I was growing. I had 1 acre on my homestead when I did that, but I was borrowing a space with more acreage, and I thought, you know, there's lots of space here. If that guy is growing corn without irrigation, there's no reason why I need to make little tiny beds on this space. So I'll just plant it wider and see what happens. Sure enough, it worked. So for somebody living in a backyard situation, tight spacing and everything, you know, say you got a 1/4 acre yard, well, you might not want to do the wide single row garden thing. Then again, you might, if your soil is poor, if you don't like to spend a lot of time working on your garden, if you don't have a lot of soil fertility, if you don't have a lot of rainfall, do the victory garden type spacing. Look at the pictures of the victory gardens. They're not really, really tight spacing. It's, I don't know, what is that, like, I mean, they do like 18 inches, 16 inches, 2 feet, depending on the crop. Very interesting. It's very interesting. I think if I were to have to live in the city again, I would probably improve my backyard soil to the absolute highest level possible, because I might be looking at, say, a 2,000 square foot garden instead of 11,000 square feet. Like, I have my garden is a 1/4 acre garden. If I had only 2,000 square feet, so I had 1/6 of it, I think I could get real fancy. I could make a lot of compost and cover that area. I could probably buy in a bunch of alfalfa. I could maybe get the tree trimmers to dump me a bunch of mulch, and I could make big amounts of compost and make that whole area super, super fertile, so I could afford to space things closer, to have more organic matter in the soil, to have more nutrition. And also, because it's a little backyard, I could stick a couple of little whirly sprinkles back there and get all the water we need. But the farther out, you know, where we are, there's just tons of space, but there's terrible fertility, so it kind of went the other way. And there's always that risk when you're on YouTube that when I say I'm doing this thing, it doesn't mean that that's the only way or the very best way to do it. Some people took exception to my saying that I thought that you should just garden in the ground. For survival gardening, just garden in the ground. Don't bother building raised beds. And somebody was like, well, my back is bad. Okay, well, that's good. And it's not good that your back is bad, but that's good that you're doing it, you're gardening in raised beds. You know, you want to garden in raised beds because your back is bad. Well, that's great. General General principles. It's general principles. It's a toolkit. If you just had a tiny, let's say you had a patio garden, you could afford to go and buy 6 horse troughs, maybe, right? You spend like $800 on 6 horse troughs. Big spender. That's a lot of money. But you get those great big horse troughs, right? You're living in this condo until you die, and they're like 2.5-foot deep horse troughs, and you go and you buy potting soil and you put it in there. You go buy great soil, and you buy all your organic pelletized minerals and whatever, and you grow all your salads and a bunch of potatoes and whatever you wanted to do in that system. For you, in that space, with your budget, your money, your patio, and your raised beds, that could be the best way to do it. Are you happy with it? Are you happy with the yields? Do you enjoy it? Is it worthwhile? Do you care about it financially? Does it matter? Do you just take joy in having a little bit of fresh basil for the table, some chives, a few flowers? Or are you survival gardening? Are you survival gardening on a budget? Right? If I was to go down... what groceries would cost me if I did not garden, it would make people freak out. I have a lot of children. But each one of my children has 2 hands and 2 feet. And praise God, they're healthy. And they're a great help. This evening, my 10-year-old and I, he finished digging a couple of beds for me. I hired him to finish digging beds. Child labor is okay if you pay the kids and you don't do any more than 18-hour days. But he went out there and he had dug a couple of beds. I tilled the area, but he made these nice long mounded beds for me, and it was this long project. And bless him, man, he worked at it, and he kept shaping those beds, and he just works and works and works and works and works. He's earning money so he can buy Christmas presents for people, which I think is great. Plus, he's a little saver. I know he's not spending all that money. He is a saver. He came out, he finished those beds, and I said, hey, bud, you want to help me transplant? Sure. So we went down the rows where we had the cabbages and the broccoli, and they needed to be thinned, so instead of thinning them, we have this nice, loose, mounded soil. We break into the ground with machetes, pull them out, and we punched holes in between all the spots where there were gaps and in the new beds that he had just dug. We filled all the gaps between turnips, we filled the gaps between beets, we filled the gaps between daikons with cabbages and broccoli, because my family loves cabbage and they love broccoli. Both of those are favorite vegetables, so instead of thinning them all out, let's just break them out and put them in there. And then we fertigated them. When I watered them in, I had a watering can, I had some worm tea and water in it, and we watered in the root zone on each one. So we did that before the sunset this evening, so all night long they've got a little chance to recover in moist soil around them. Hopefully the roots start regrowing overnight. And now I've got these beautiful, more beautiful rows. But if I weren't, if I weren't raising so many children, I could probably afford to do some small gardens that were really, really, really rich. If I had more money, I could spend it on a bunch of nutrients and that sort of thing. But, even if I had more money, I would still be cheap. It's my nature. I don't like to spend money if I don't have to. But doing the row gardens where we don't have to bother with the time of irrigation. We just have to run down them with a hoe now and again. Chop, 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 chop. It's really easy to hoe when you have a great big wide space in between plants. I mean, look at this. Right? Look at the space there. You can see a few weeds in there. It needs to be hoed again, but it's not bad. All that gap there, that's not wasted space. That's space for the plants to grow their roots. And their roots will get water. And the roots will find the nutrients that I tilled under. And they won't need nearly so much as if I had them all jammed close together. We don't have a lot of breeze right now. The sun isn't super hot. It's not particularly dry. The air isn't. There's dew every morning. There's no need to keep that ground covered. We rough it up with a hoe. If you dig down into the garden after 2 weeks of it being dry, sunny and dry, no rain, you still find moist soil. The trick is not to way overplant. You won't find moist soil often where there's a bunch of trees and perennials. I dug into some areas in the grocery row gardens, and they were really wet because they were more open spots where I had annuals, and the annuals were out of them. And then in other spots, it was pretty dry after a couple of weeks. And that's because there's trees right there, and there was a lot of plants on the ground that were sucking the moisture out and sending it up into the air. Plants pull up the moisture through their roots, they pump it up, and then through their leaves, it transpires the moisture off the surface through the day. And if it is unable to do that, it wilts. The turgidity of the leaves is interrupted, and it wilts. They give up sometimes in the middle of the day because they don't want to pump out the limited amount of moisture that's beneath the ground. So they just sit there and wait for it to cool off a little bit, and then they start back to the operation of photosynthesizing and growing and expanding. So it is very interesting to see how well something as simple as single row gardening has done for me. I am very happy with how it's worked, and I'm going to do a little video on it. I did a little video of it. I'll post it tomorrow. You know, that shows just how simple it is. Basically what I was telling you today, but with a lot less words and more pretty pictures, you know. So, hey, we are on Goodstream number 200 this evening. And I did tell you guys that Garden Heat, a Jack Broccoli novel, we are doing the pre-order. We did get some more pre-order sign-ups yesterday during the stream. I really appreciate that. We are trying to book bomb it to make it actually. If this book could rank in the Amazon fiction section, I think that would be awesome. There are not enough gardening thrillers in the world, so if you can pre-order Garden Heat, a Jack Broccoli novel, on Amazon, I would appreciate it. It's pretty funny. All right, so I will just take questions. If anybody has any questions, anybody has anything to share. Compost your narcissists. Yeah, that's a good idea. Not a narcissist, but you play one on TV. That's funny. I'm just waiting on a question. If one of our moderators wants to post the link, if you could find it on Amazon and post the link, that would be cool. I didn't get it ready tonight. You know, I'm hardly even playing my Taylor anymore since I got this $15 Chinese guitar. I have no idea. I just... Nutrient deficiency, Zachary. Why all my broccoli leaves turning pink? Probably well be a nutrition deficiency. It could be phosphorus. I can't remember which one turns them pink. I would water with like a little bit of a nutrient solution. Oh, thank you. Eat the canvas. I like your profile pic there. I always like the idea of growing dry beans, and I have terrible success with it. For some reason, I mean, the velvet beans do great, but they have not. They're not the sort of thing you can just boil and eat. Not that I even care about eating beans, really. I just like growing them because I like shelling them and looking at them in jars. Yeah, I would get out there, Zachary. I would water them right away with a nutrient solution, foliar feed them, drench them, and whatever they need, they're going to pick it up. But if they are any color other than a deep bluey green color, they need something. Thank you very much, Karen. I appreciate it. Thank you for encouraging me, Karen. There are some times that I've only decided to just make a video or do a live stream just because of people like you, Karen. I won't say that. I'm just like, I better do a live stream because there's a very special lady and she's gonna miss me if I don't show up tonight. Cause Karen, oh Karen, no, not gonna do that. Sorry, that got a little weird. But yeah, the encouragement is really, it's real. I feed off the excellent energy of you guys. Thank you. Welcome, Seshmu. We have a brand new member. I don't know if I'm saying Seshmu correctly, but let's see. There's probably an emo song in there. There's a member that's brand new. Breaks my heart that I can't write a better song for you. Welcome to you. What was a nice little trill at the end. Thank you, Zachary. I appreciate the super chat too. Members do get to use the no unions. Unionize the labor force and get fired. Depends on what you're unionizing against. Fight the power. Hey, fight the power that be. Flaming, like a flaming lip song. You're right. That works. Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate it. Carolyn keeps talking me into new animals for the homestead. Thank you. Hey, Scott, it's nice to see you. Yeah, you're at Walmart? Dude, get out of that place. It's a hellhole. They're terrible, man. They're like forcing everybody to wear masks and stuff. Oh my gosh. Marcus, how are you? Let me see what it says here. Hey David, I plan to implement your grocery row garden method next year. What would you recommend to do over the winter to get it ready? 7A, 2 acres, grassy pasture, old growth trees. If you can put a cold hardy cover crop over it, it may be a little late, but you probably could put winter red wheat or something like that over it. Anything that gets a little life in the ground, keeps life in the ground. That's one option. Another thing you could do is mulch the entire area. Mulch the entire area with, fall leaves, so that'll cover the ground a little bit through the beating rains. I don't know if you've got grass on it right now, but you could always remove the grass and then mulch over it, and then rake the mulch back and build the system, and then use the mulch around your perennials in the spring. Alpacas. Wonder what you can do with alpacas. I don't know if they're any good to raise or not. Julie from Dirt Patch Homestead. I love Julie. She's great. She is like, I don't know, I like the set of her jaw. Like when she talks to you, she's like really seriously talks to you. I like that she really seriously talks to me. She doesn't mess around. I mess around a lot. Julie does not mess around. So I was talking to her on the phone, and she told me she's raising these pigs. Magic pigs, she said. And I was like, magic pigs? They're some sort of like a Juliana, and I think Kuni cross pig. They're little pigs, and they're like lard pigs. Small lard pigs, and they don't root around. They like to graze. They don't dig and try to escape much. So she said she gets really, really high quality pork, and she barely has to feed them. A lot of the modern pig varieties need a lot of care. And these pigs, she said, basically get fat if you look at them. She gives them just some kitchen scraps and grass. It's like, ah, I like that sort of thing. So I may get pigs at some point, but I don't know if I can find pigs of one of those varieties. One of those, like, backyard Asian varieties, you know. I don't know. Thank you very much, Joe, for the tip. Thank you for your priceless help. $5 more for the tip jar. I appreciate it. Yeah, Sean, we could pray for job opportunities. Let's pray right now. My hair's a mess, but Heavenly Father, we pray for Sean. Pray that you'll have your hand on him, Lord. Pray that you'll give him a better job opportunity. Pray that you'll give him something that is a place where he can grow and thrive and be a blessing to others, Father, and that will be personally satisfying, and that you'll have your hand on him and guide him and direct him. In Jesus' name. Crazy things happen when you ask God. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to be stuck at Walmart, but he may send somebody your way that you needed to talk to, and that's why you're working at Walmart. There may be somebody that needs to talk to you. Somebody that needs some encouragement, you know? Or just the right word at the right time. I quit shopping at Walmart. I am so angry at Walmart, just in general. I just won't go there anymore. And I love all of the assortment of Walmart, and I like how convenient it is. And it is the best place to shop near us. Hands down. We're way out in the middle of nowhere. Walmart is the place. I will spend more going to small shops because I'm just so sick of them. And I used to not mind Walmart, but I'm done with them. Seshby says, I'm along the Space Coast. Should I be worried about the limited frost we receive from my moringa trees? Probably not. If you think it's going to freeze, if it looks like it's going to go 32 or below, I would cut off all the leaves that you want to keep. Maybe cut the top off and dry the leaves, you know, so you can preserve them and have them, because sometimes it'll freeze the leaves off and you won't get new leaves until spring, but it's probably not going to kill you. Julie finally subscribed to your channel, Scott. Cool. Sean says, I get fat when people look at me too. Oh, I gotta go to Julie's channel. Apparently Julie was talking about survival gardening, and she said that video was really good, and I have not gone. I need to go and see it. She said it was good, so. Josh, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for the tip. Seshby says, due to Biden's mandate, I'm leaving Lockheed Martin, starting a new job in January. Godspeed. Don't do anything that they're forcing you to do. All this pressure, just wait. Hold out. Follow your conscience. Deus Volt. Zachary says, I got married a couple weekends ago. Advice for a new husband? Yes, have children right away. And see if you can have, if it's possible for your wife to be at home with the kids. It's awesome. Another thing, Eat meals together. Eat meals together. It's really precious. And I would not wait to have children. Have children, praise God. It's like the best thing you'll ever do, and it's like glue for your marriage. It's awesome. You will not regret it. And also, don't just do chores randomly, thinking that she'll like it. It doesn't help. Go outside in the yard and like chainsaw stuff and like chop things down or whatever. Don't just start like doing all the chores. Oh, honey, let's split the dishes 50-50. No, you do the dishes, woman. I'm using a chainsaw. You don't say it like that. You just like walk through with your shirt and a chainsaw. Hey, honey, I'm gonna go cut some trees. That's just my advice. Basically, whatever they tell you to do, whatever marriage counselors tell you to do, just do the opposite, unless it's illegal. And congratulations. Joe's like, congratulations. Oh yeah, congratulations too. Marriage is awesome. I'm very glad to be married. Yeah. I love being married. My wife has a great sense of humor. We have a lot of fun. She's my helpmeet, indeed. Whatever miserable people tell you to do in your marriage, ignore it. Whatever boomers tell you to do, basically ignore it. Read what they said to do 100 years ago. You'd probably be better off. So. Yeah, we're having so much fun. Totally Crazy Easy Alabama Marriage by D the G. Yeah. I am going to be writing Totally Crazy Easy Alabama Gardening, or probably Alabama Survival Gardening. Alabama Survival Gardening, because even though I have only been gardening here for a year, I'm having good success, but that's not enough. It's not enough. I don't think communication is the most important part of marriage. You think? I didn't get married to communicate, I'll tell you that. I got married because she was hot. Go to bed, kids. I'm going to be writing Alabama Survival Gardening, but I have Noah Sanders is going to be helping me with that. Noah Sanders is a market gardener. He is very experienced. He actually gardens for money, but he is much more like, he's an organic no-till type, and he has gardened in the center of Alabama, where I have not gardened. And he's got tons and tons and tons of information in his head, so we're going to co-write that. I partly married Rachel because I wanted a girl that had not been with any other guy. I wanted a girl that was pretty and fun and was a Christian and was not fat and that wanted to have children and laughed at my jokes. And I didn't find her because I was like really great at finding girls or dating or whatever. I really didn't. I didn't date anybody before I met her. I was 20 when I met her, and she was 18. We had met when we were children, but we re-met at that age. And yeah, I think. I mean, I know that God just directed us together and put us in each other's lives. Oh, it's a members only. It's probably the thumbs down are because there are people that are watching right now that wish they could comment, but they cannot comment. So there's going to be people thumbsing it down just because I decided to only let members this evening comment on Goodstream number 200. Yeah, she can handle a camera. Though I have to say, I did train her. She knew how to do some photography, but I have trained her on the videography somewhat. She is just willing to learn and do what has to be done to help me. And that is another one of those wonderful things. She's not like looking up how to shoot good videos and fiddling around with the cameras and researching cameras and stuff. She really doesn't even care about that stuff. But she cares about me, and she cares about the success of our family and the children and the gardens and all these kind of things. So she just went ahead and learned it. She's like, I don't feel like I'm very good at shooting. You know, I there's some earlier footage and stuff that was pretty shaky and out there, and I kept saying, look, Rach, if you can learn to run the camera and get good at it, it'll be a big help. Okay, if you really need me. Yes, I really need you. Okay. I'll figure it out. And so she's learned how the f-stops work on these manual lenses. So I made it harder on her. Like, I started getting weird old lenses, and they're all manual. Like, I wanted to look really, really good. So what do the filmmakers on YouTube do? They use interesting vintage lenses to get better looks. Interesting. It's interesting to me. Not particularly interesting to her. But she went ahead and learned it. And that's a good wife. And, you know, when she wanted an ice maker, I said, fine, we can get an ice maker. Yeah, that's communication, I guess. Was it the pears in her salsa? Yes. That's right. So thank you, all of you members, for supporting this channel for the last couple of years. It's amazing to think that I have had members now for 2 years, some of you guys, and some of you guys are getting closer. And the support, the encouragement is really nice, and it's nice to have like revenue that you can count on YouTube that isn't ad-based. Green Christendom says, any advice on finding land? Want to find something underdeveloped and on the less expensive side to start a small farm, looking online, finding a real estate person, looking for sale signs. Oh, that's a lot of... I'll tell you what, I haven't found land myself. And I had a terrible time trying to find land in the Caribbean. It took me a long time before we found a piece that we could buy. And it took us like a year to buy it. But that's the Caribbean, where everything is slow as molasses. First of all, I would say move to a place where people are like you. If you want to have an organic farm and some drum circles and like eat mushrooms and stuff, I would not move to rural Mississippi in the middle of like regular farming country, right? You don't want to be like the weirdo. No, go to California or something, Colorado, whatever. Say, where do I want to be? And having the pandemic and everything has really shown us where certain people like to be and what they like. There are places where nobody's wearing a mask, and there are places where everybody's wearing a mask. What do you prefer? Find your people where the culture is similar to what you appreciate and what you like, and stick with those people. Don't go be an irritant in the middle of somewhere else. I found that I really, really like Lower Alabama. It's live and let live. There is junk in the yard. There are hound dogs. There are people practicing with their guns every weekend. Nobody bugs you. When there's a hurricane, everybody comes over and brings you food and checks on you. The neighbors all say hi. I get random texts from the neighbors. Did you remember to put your trash out? Because I drove by and I didn't see those trash cans. Oh, thank you. I forgot to bring my trash out. It's small town stuff, right? I love it. I like taking, the neighbor grows sweet corn. They give us a bunch of sweet corn. We canned some sweet corn and we brought it back to them. You know, they're growing potatoes, they give us some potatoes. I grow some pumpkins, I give them some pumpkins. We go back and forth. I like that it's agricultural. I like that it's low key. I like that you can do whatever you want. You can have a great big fire. You can burn the woods. You can have goats. You can have chickens. But some people like all life to be handled for them. I was down in Daphne, Alabama, this morning with my friend Liz, the no-till gardener, and we were gathering up. She was helping us get a freezer down there because we're going to have a lot of chicken meat soon, and her parents had an old freezer that was still running, and I said we would definitely take it. So she has a truck, and she said, well, I was going to go down there and I was going to gather a bunch of leaves to put in my chicken run because my chickens turn my leaves into compost. And this is leaf pickup day, and they always have bags and bags and bags of leaves. So if we could go down there with a trailer and we could pick up leaves, then we could grab the freezer and come back and then drop it off at your house. I said, oh, that sounds like fun. So I grabbed 3 of my kids. The kids ride on the trailer, and she'd slow down. They jump off the trailer, throw the bags on it. We pull to the next house, throw the bags on it, pull to the next house, throw the bags on it. And then my kids help me load up the freezer, because I got kids that are getting bigger and stronger now. So a few kids, we did it. Put the freezer on the back of the truck, strap it in, and go home. But the neighborhood that we were going through, it's all these nice, expensive brick and wood houses with little yards, and it's all slopey, and it's all built around a golf course. And it's all highly controlled. You can't have goats, you can't have chickens, you can't shoot in your yard, you can't burn, you can't leave appliances sitting around. It's terrible. Like, for me, it's awful. I would never want to live there. Yet, people love that sort of thing. Everything's taken care of for them, you know? They have this sterile lawn and hedges and trees, and it's basically taken care of for them. And they've got beautiful sidewalks, a lot of people out there jogging, walking their poodles, etc. There's a roach on the floor here. I just missed him. I was trying to get him with my foot. TMI. But not for me. I can't stand it. It would drive me insane. But I would try to find out, you know, what your culture is, and then I would also look and say, is there anybody nearby that I'm friends with? Anybody I wanted to live near? You know, St. Cloud, Florida is excellent. Yep. Everybody wants to move to Florida. Hey, if you like our previous president, you could always look at the voting map. Where is the highest amount of red? Go there. If you like the Brandon administration, say who voted. You know, go pick the bluest spot. So, it's crazy how expensive stuff is. You're absolutely right. Though I would say right now, I think that the price of everything is absolutely insane. If I had extra money sitting around right now, I would probably put it in the safest things possible and wait for the crash, because I think a crash is coming. Obviously, I am not an investment advisor. Carolyn says, I won't live in a planned neighborhood ever again. I love living in the rural areas. Yep, me too. Those are my people. I think things will get cheaper again. But, you know, I mean, if you had $100,000 sitting around to buy land or something, I would be really tempted to just put it in gold coins, bury it somewhere, wait 5 years, dig it up, and then, you know, I just feel like the inflation and everything is so nuts. Everything is so blown up. that you need something that's kind of going to float over it. And I do think that the demand for housing and stuff is it can't stay this way. Who's buying it? I don't know, but that's my 2 cents. If I had $1 million, I'd bury it in the ground, and I'd wait. Yeah, Scott had to replace a dishwasher, dryer, car battery. Shocked at the prices. Yeah, it's shocking. You print a few $1 trillion out of thin air, that kind of thing happens. And I'm not saying that it's just this. It's not just this administration. It's been every administration for a long time has continued to just run the clock up and run the debt up, and you have to monetize it eventually. And now it's just like, it's insane. It's insane. The prices of everything are going to get worse, and stuff is going to start to disappear. It's going to be very difficult to get what you need, I think. I do think land is the best investment in general, but land is also very heavily controlled and taxed, etc. So, Carolyn says try Putnam County. Oh, speaking of cheap, thank you, 13 Meraki. Just started listening to your Audible book, Grow or Die. Thank you for all you do. You are very welcome. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. So, here we go. This just came. This is the latest. We had a printing error on the back of the very first edition, so those are now collectible. There was a, like, one letter back here that was white, and it was really strange. Like, one of them was just lit up white out of the whole back, so the text on the back was a little weird, and that has been fixed. This is the new printing, and it looks really good. I'm very happy with this. I don't know if Lauren Paulini is on tonight, but I said we were joking about how the picture of her, the picture in here looked like Lauren. So there it is, right there. Let's see if we can see that. Lauren Paulini lays out her new grocery row gardens. That's Lauren laying out her gardens right there. She's making gardens. So anyhow, I told her, I said, I'm totally just going to caption that. Because she said, that looks like me. Yes, it does. It actually does. I met her. That's really funny. So, row gardening is like the wide rows are more narrow. I'm just doing single rows. That's what I was talking about this evening. Wide row gardening is where you put multiple rows, and then you have a big gap, and then multiple rows, and then a gap. Arcade Zero says, I need a recipe using sweet potatoes, Everglades tomatoes, and okra. You're almost there to a gumbo. Because as a beginner, I've learned that when the collapse comes, I can grow tons of sweet potatoes, Everglades tomatoes, and okra. I find that tomato sauce over roasted okra is really delicious. Roast a couple sweet potatoes on the side, and then you got to find a way to make some butter. You're going to need butter. So, anyhow, you guys have a great night. I'm going to go inside and have some dinner. As you can see, I've been working out in the garden. You can see my dirty fingernails. I was out there transplanting. I've been working since this morning. Went out and we gathered tons and tons of leaves, and then came home, filmed a video, took a nap, went back to work, got a bunch of stuff done. And there are some guys from a tree company dumping load after load after load of mulch in our yard, which I'm really thrilled about. So, yes, I will have some mulch for experiments and for making lots and lots of compost. Thank you all for being here for the 200th Goodstream. Thank you, members, for supporting this channel. Thank you for everybody who watched this evening. Thank you all for the super chats, too. I really appreciate all the gardening tips. I am happy to give tips for tips. And God bless you all. Have a great night. And pray for Sean. Sean does not want to work at Walmart anymore. So if you guys can send up a prayer for Sean this evening. Pray the Lord takes care of him. Brings him a good girl, brings him a great job, and rains down blessings on him and watches over him. And for all of you guys, I know this is a tough time. A lot of you are struggling with employment issues, and illnesses and ill family members, everything. May God bless you and keep you. Turn to the Word of God and read it and see what He has for us. He does have good things for us if we follow Him. God bless you all. Catch you next time. Until then, may your thumbs always be green.